You have Chapter 9, which deals with civil liabilities. You have Chapter 11, which deals with penal consequences. Now, in order to implement the provisions of Chapter 9, the expertise that was required, it was felt that was not available possibly with the presiding officers of the civil courts, because this required a certain amount of knowledge of how the cyber world works. It is not a real world, it's a virtual world. It's a world which is at times intangible, but I remember Justice Yatendra Singh in one of the sessions saying, no, it's not really intangible. Sometimes it is tangible also, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong. Or was it Justice Badr Ahmed? Wasn't you? It could be Justice Badr Ahmed then. One of those two said so. Okay. So in any event, that was in a lighter vein. So it is an intangible world. It's a world which is difficult to grasp or understand by a normal person, a person who is not used to this kind of technology. Most of us are old horses. You can carry on flogging an old horse, but you can make it very difficult for them to absorb what is new. But the new generation which is taken over, even at the very lowest levels, the children are being brought up in this kind of technological advancement. Children are being taught computers at the very, very beginning, at the very beginning stages. Cyber law means nothing but laws relating to computer usage. This is what is now the need of the hour, the need of the day, especially keeping in mind the global trends. As I was saying, Chapter 9 has provided for the appointment of adjudicating officers. These are officers who have the knowledge of the technical know-how, but they are to act as civil courts. They have powers under the civil court, but they are not familiar with the civil procedures. So there is a question of education involved, both for Chapter 9 and thereafter you come to Chapter 11. These are penal consequences. Previously, before the amendment of 2008, you had the provisions relating to Section 66, hacking. That was one of the provisions. Thereafter, even after amendment, the violations or the breaches mentioned in Section 43, which is of a civil nature, were given penal consequences as well. But then thereafter, various amendments were introduced by the 2008 Act, whereby Section 66A, if I'm not mistaken, to F was sought to be introduced, which spelled out specific areas which were which had penal consequences and which were penal offences. Now, who are to try these cases? These cases have been left to be tried to the magistracy. That is at the lowest level of the judicial hierarchy. It is difficult. I can imagine how difficult it could be for a person who is not familiar with cyber law, cyber crimes, to try and even appreciate and understand how evidence is to be gathered in a case. In a criminal law, without evidence, there's no point in prosecuting. The entire prosecution depends on the investigation, and it depends thereafter on how the investigating authorities and the prosecutor places the evidence, how it is to be accepted. As I told you, there are various amendments introduced in the Evidence Act, all geared towards making electronic devices, electronic evidence admissible. You have Section 22A, you have Section 45, you have Section 47A. These are all areas where opinion of experts, oral evidence, all these things have been now amended in such a way so as to gear the entire system towards learning how to admit evidence of an electronic nature.